Howdy, Rebel fans. Welcome to episode 28 of the Rebel Nation Conversation. I am Rebelfan69. My co-host is the Themetalreb. Together we make up the Rebel Nation Conversation podcast, your one-stop shop for uninformed and non-expert Ole Miss sports conversation.
Unsullied by sponsorship since 2025.
Yeah, and come check us out on our YouTube channel. That's located at youtube.com/@the-RN-Convo. It's been kind of a short week since we taped on Thursday there, but I assume everything's been going pretty good for you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, going good. How about yourself? You make it home?
Yeah, I got in here this morning, or this afternoon, so ready to got a few things to take care of, so I came in a few days early, and get this thing going. Ole Miss news. Ole Miss hired former Rebel and Chicago Bear Terrence Metcalf added to our staff. Metcalf's position is going to be called the assistant offensive coach, offensive line personnel. Also, Lanier Goethe was added a few weeks ago as the assistant defensive coach, defensive line. Of course, the Rebels lost defensive coordinator Patrick Toney. One thing I guess we can say, we were undefeated in the Patrick Toney years.
Yeah.
Era at Ole Miss. He added Marcus Woodson as the co-defensive coordinator, but I'm assuming that's pretty much all of our hires right now. I hadn't.
A lot of former Rebels on that staff.
Yeah, there is, and I don't want to discount if an Ole Miss, a former Ole Miss Rebel is the best qualified for the job, then I want him on that staff because he's got heart. He'll love Ole Miss. But I don't know if I've heard of either Goethe or Metcalf coaching anywhere. Have you?
Goethe's been around coaching. I did know that. I was familiar with him coaching. Now Metcalf, I had no idea he was a coach. I knew Marcus Woodson was. He's been around. He's kind of well traveled.
Yeah. Well, we've been burned before,
I don't think Pete is that guy that would build a staff in that manner. I mean, I just don't think he is. Time will tell if they're good hires or not, but
yeah,
you think from a recruiting standpoint they should help.
Yeah, I do, but we've just been burned before by going that Rebel route. Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know. Time will tell, man. We're gonna have a football team. We'll be able to, we'll support them till there's nothing to support. But
speaking of football, going into the next thing, no spring game. What do you think about that?
That's what I kind of wrote down here. Honestly, I know people want to have that big weekend. Double deckers in town, doing the double decker festival down there. But then hopefully you got your baseball team in town. You got a weekend series going. It makes it a big weekend for Oxford. But man, I don't know if we really got much out of that game. To be honest with you, I never went to it. Did you ever go to a Grove Bowl?
One time, I went to Coach O's first Grove Bowl, and that man, everybody was so excited for his first season, and it was probably the most boring event I've ever attended in my life. And I said I'd never go back. It's kind of at this point, it's like the NBA All-Star game. There's nothing you can do to save it or fix it. I mean, a spring game is, the fans want to see a real game with the team split down the middle, and they want to see red versus blue and all that. But that's just, I think that's kind of yesterday, to be honest with you. I don't think it'll ever get back to that.
You know what? I was listening to, McCready and Siskey the other day, and they kind of were talking about if we're going to fix the calendar, the football year calendar. And I agree with this point. Neil made a point where he said something about do away completely with that spring game and then just do like the NFL does, do mini camps through the summer, bring in units. The wide receiver unit working out with maybe the QBs. Do some mini camps along the way. And, and I just feel like we'd probably get a lot more out of that. So, I mean, I just never really felt like we got a lot of use out of spring football.
Dude, at this point,
with
the possibility of guys unenrolling from school and transferring after May, who knows if that's even your team?
Exactly.
I mean, most of it will be, but
now, back in the days when we were signing those high school kids and we got the early enrollees, the ones that was able to come in on the first semester of a year or the second semester, it was great to get them. It was great to get those through a spring.
Yeah.
Kind of help them have a leg up on offense or defense getting installed according to where they played. But man, it's just not the way we're getting players anymore. I'm fine. I'm fine without having a spring game. They're having a camp. We're getting some reports out there about camp. So just have their little camp, and there ain't no sense even in risking an injury. Having a game that means absolutely nothing.
And I guess that's kind of the thinking. Not risking a crazy injury to somebody for nothing.
It's kind of the way I was thinking.
That would be
even if you said no contact at all, they could pull a hamstring, just run it.
Yeah.
And we've all seen hamstrings just nag and hold on. I'm not saying that you would be out from from March all the way to end of August with a hamstring, but you don't have to have a contact to get hurt. I'm okay with it. I'll be honest with you.
I'm fine with it. And again, from a fan perspective, I just don't see anything you can do to make that game exciting. I
remember when Alabama hired Saban. His first A-Day game was like 90,000 people in the stands.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they just wanted to see Saban get there. So I guess that would be more. But what are you really seeing about with the coach? I mean, if we hired Bill Parcells or something like, you know what I mean? Or the next coming of Lane Kiffin, and he was going to be our coach. What are we seeing in spring ball? I'm fine with the way it is. Let's don't risk injury. Get some drills in, and get ready and have maybe a couple of mini camps is what I'd like to see us have in the summer. Of course, we can't do that right now under the present rules, but
yeah.
But I like the sound of Neil's idea. What he was saying, is basically, football's over. You have your transfer portal open around that, and had the one national signing day again in February, when we always had it.
Yeah.
And have your portal kind of window set up around that, and then no spring game. You had mini camps in the summer, and you started the season a touch earlier, because we're probably going to have to do that if we do ever go to a 24-game, a 24-team playoff. We'll have to start. Whereas they have the week 0 games right now, that's got to be week 1. And everybody starts, but anyway, yeah, moving on. A little bit more football stuff. Remember I can't remember exactly how many shows ago it was, but we talked about the NCAA was going to be reviewing the targeting rules and possibly making a change to them.
Yeah.
Well, they have approved a targeting rule change, and right now the way the rule is reading, starting in the season of the 2026 season, it's going to be stackable offenses. In other words, your first offense, the player is disqualified for the remainder of the game in which the infraction occurred. However, he will not have to sit out the second game or the next game, no matter if it was in the first half or the second half or not. He does not have to miss the first half of the next game. So that's a plus. The second offense for the player, he is disqualified, of course, for the remainder of the game in which it happened, but he does have to sit the first half of the next game, and it doesn't matter if it happened in the first half. You know what I'm saying? If it happened in the first half, he's still got to miss the first half of the next game too.
So this is offenses in the same game, right?
No, this is years. This is the season. Because once he's kicked out of the ball game, he can't commit another one.
Well, yeah, that's true. And then the third offense, you do miss the next game. Is that
missed
correct?
the entirety. Yes, you missed the entirety of the
game.
net. Yep,
Yeah.
Just completely next game. It's gone. But here's something to kind of put in there in the article I read about it. Now, I got all of those rules. I pulled that off of the NCAA site straight up. But on an article written about it, I read that all of last year, and I want to say the year before, there were no 3-time offenders in all of NCAA football.
Okay. That's good to hear.
Yeah. So, one other thing to note on that, the second offense penalty can be appealed to the NCAA for video review. If the call, of course, is reversed on appeal, then the first half disqualification for the next game is lifted. So, that's it. There's several other rules that got changed this year, but I mean, most of them they've adopted some new kind of changes to them. But for the most part, I'm like, it's not nothing we're gonna go over. But here's one. It's kind of. I didn't even know this because I hadn't watched a lot of NFL. Like, evidently, this is in the NFL. Maybe you can clarify the fair catch rule. After a completed or awarded fair catch, the receiving team has the option to attempt a field goal from the spot of the catch. The kick has to either be a place kick with a holder, meaning no tee, or it has to be drop kick from where the where the returner caught the ball. And the defense is required to be at least 10 yards off the spot of this kick. And, of course, like any other field goal, if it goes through the uprights, it is 3 points.
Okay. Dumb question. Well, I don't understand that rule. I don't understand the significance.
I ain't going to try one from the 20.
I mean, you could do it now, couldn't you? On first down. What's the difference?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm guessing what they're saying is the ball would be spotted at that spot. Don't have to be snapped, but I mean, when it's down and held, that's where it's going to be at. So I guess the the line of scrimmage had to be 7 yards up, and the defense had to be 3 yards on the other side of that. There's a lot of that was this. Man, I pulled this right off the NCAA spot. I mean, off of their website.
That's not a big deal.
It's not a big deal, but I just thought what I don't get is that why would you really and truly you fair catch that ball at the 30-yard line, your 30-yard line. I'm not going to try to kick from there. I'm just not, unless there's absolutely no time to even try a play. Maybe that's the only time it would matter. And you got a guy that's good at drop kicking.
Yeah.
I don't even think Lucas Canaro because what's that? That'd be a 90-yard kick, wouldn't it? I mean, the ball's down on 30.
Nobody's going to try that.
Yes, 70-yard kick. I mean.
Now, I did see another rule change that I thought was pretty interesting. An offensive pass interference penalty is no longer 15 yards. It's 10 yards.
Offensive pass. Offensive pass.
Offensive pass interference. Offensive pass interference penalties reduced to 10 yards. Defensive pass interference, no change. Did you see that?
I did not see that one, and I read that page, but I just didn't see that one. I did see another one. This one I felt was kind of stupid. Wouldn't even know why it was even brought up, but they were trying to make where the players had to have socks on or the pants had to come off. There had to be a covering between the ankle of the shoe and the bottom of the pant. They couldn't see their shins or something. It had to be either, I guess, a sock. Why would that even be something we discuss? I mean, I know in the pros.
Because that Oklahoma kicker wearing short pants last year. Literally short pants, gym shorts to play football.
Yeah. Well, I know like in the pros, they have a uniform policy or something, don't they, where they have to,
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. This is college. I don't understand. Back on the fair catch deal, again, it just wasn't a whole lot of clarity on the deal, but I assumed that would take the place of an offensive series. If I decided to kick it, good or bad,
if you
good or good, they get the ball there.
Yeah.
Right? I still see that being
the only significance to the rule is the spotting of the ball, where the ball will be spotted. Now, if the ball is actually kicked from where the fair catch was made, and like you said earlier, the line of scrimmage would be moved up 7 yards prior to the kick.
I'm guessing, though, if you had to kick, you had to punt the ball from your own end zone, and they fair caught it at the 50, and there just wasn't enough time or something. But I mean, again, like you said, well, shit, you could do that now, but then it would obviously be snapped back 7 yards.
It'd be a 67-yard field goal, and now with the new rule, it would be a 60-yard field goal.
Yeah. If we're even understanding that right.
Yeah, that's the way I understand it. If we're understanding it wrong, somebody set us straight in the comments. There's another rule change I want to talk about real quick.
What?
Did you see the official transfer portal penalty?
No, I did not see that. On the NCAA website?
The committee recommends that head coaches be suspended for 6 contests/games if a school adds a transfer student athlete who did not enter the portal during the official window, along with a 20% fine of the football budget, which we talked about that last week.
We talked about that a couple of weeks back. It was the same deal. That was significant penalties. Yeah, I thought when you said new, I thought it was something just come out. Yeah, that was a couple of weeks ago.
I don't remember.
Significant. Yeah,
I don't remember the 6-game suspension part. I remember the 20% fine, but I don't remember the 6-game suspension.
It was 6-game suspension was always part of it. That's why I said it was a very significant penalty. I think Dump. I think it was the first episode that Dump was on with us. when we talked about it. And man,
All right.
that 20% thing, man,
Ooh, that's a big deal.
that ain't we ain't talking about just your rev share or just we're talking about the entire football budget. 20%. That can be. Think about it. I mean, I think Ole Miss's total budget is probably in the $50-60 million range, but Texas and Alabama, you imagine theirs is probably in the $120 million range.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Penalizing somebody 25 mil?
Now, see, if that gets adopted, as of yet, that hasn't been adopted yet, as far as I know. So, what that does is closes that loophole.
Yeah.
That Siskey and them talked about.
About a kid unenrolling.
Right.
Yeah.
If they pass that and that gets approved, then that seemingly closes that because I don't see any school taking that chance.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna take that chance to add you to my roster, and I'm gonna lose. My head coach ain't gonna be able to coach for 6 weeks, and I'm gonna lose $15-20 million of my budget. No, it ain't happening. So if that's the way it goes, I actually feel like that's a decent rule. Because that will close that May loophole. To me.
Yeah, I mean that winds that up.
Yep. Any other rules stuff?
No.
College football stuff. So, well, all right. The only other football thing I had to discuss is we are less than a week away from the start of our Birmingham Stallions' first game.
Friday night.
Against the Louisville Kings. The game will be a Friday kickoff, March 27th, nationally televised on Fox, slated for a 7 o'clock Central Time kickoff. 4 former Rebels on the Stallions roster: Matt Corral at QB, Snoop Connor running back, Mason Brooks as tackle, Isaac Ukwu as defensive end. And then 1 former Rebel that didn't finish at Ole Miss, Ryder Anderson, was on the team, but then he didn't make the final roster cut, which happened last Thursday, March 19th. The roster had to be brought down from, I think, 55, 56, what they were practicing with at the time, down to their final 50.
And if anybody's wondering why we're talking about this, in case you missed the announcement, Rebel Nation Conversation has adopted the Birmingham Stallions as our official team. So,
right. Giddy up.
Tune in here every week for all of your Stallions news and info.
Again, though, uninformed and non-expert.
And unsullied.
And unsullied.
You know, I guess that the league has a 10-game schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And I could be wrong about this, but I want to say that they've added a couple of games this year. I want to say that it's normally 7 or 8 games, but just quick run through on the schedule. Friday, March 27th, which is this coming Friday, we will be at the Louisville Kings at Lynn Family Stadium in Louisville, Kentucky. Then we go on the road again the following Sunday, April 5th to Sunday, yeah. Week 3 on the road again in St. Louis, Missouri versus the St. Louis Battlehawks.
Yes. And week 4 is our first home game.
Yeah, week 4 is our first home game against the Orlando Storm. So open on the road 3 games. And I'm going to tell you right now, I ain't got a clue what to expect.
I don't either. That's what so I don't have nothing. I can't give you a scouting report. I don't know.
Yeah.
What I do know about them is in a vacuum by listening to McCready and Siskey and McCarron talk it. You know
what are they?
They think they got a good football team. They feel like they've got a good. Well, they're not going to. They're not going to give a win-loss prediction, but they both McCarron between AJ and Tyler they think they got a good football team.
I mean, how do you make predictions in this league, man? Like who's expected to be the the alpha
The
in
bell
this
cow?
group. Yeah. Any
Don't know
idea?
yet.
Yeah. Well,
I
there's
don't
something
know,
kind of
man.
cool about that.
Yeah, I mean, we're just starting out. We go see what
Yeah.
happens.
Everybody goes in blind, man. Play the
I mean, the
game, see
league's been
what happens.
around. We just ain't. The
Yeah.
league's been around. We just ain't paid it no attention.
Do
You know.
you know? And I know I asked this question before, and I apologize for not really remembering what you said. But what are the, like in a nutshell, quick version of the drastic differences in the rules
Well, you know, we've went over this a
for
couple of
USA
times. Um, they got the
United
1 foot
Football
catch
League?
rule. You
One
know,
foot catch. Okay.
1 foot in bounds catch rule. So kind of a college rule there. Any field goal over 60 yards is a 4-point kick. If you've crossed the 50 and you're outside of the 2-minute warning, you have to go for it. You cannot punt.
That's right.
Inside the 2-minute warning, you can play for field position, but outside the 2-minute warning, you got to kick. And then the only other one, and then
I
you
remember
got to
that
go
rule.
for it.
Yeah, let me stop you there. So, um, if the series starts on that side of the 50, know what happens, no matter what happens with negative plays, sacks, penalties, you still have to go for it.
Yeah, you line the game. If it's still the 40-yard line or better, then it means you cross the 50. You cannot go backwards and you still have crossed the 50. You got to go for it.
So if you're at 4th and 32 from your own 35, you have to go for it. I would imagine one thing that's going to do when a team crosses a 50-yard line, we're probably going to see some conservative calls from these offenses.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like
it's
guys,
going to be a lot of you're going to have to be strategic around that spot. That's for sure.
You're going to have, because if you start taking risks and stuff and wind up with a big loss yardage play, or somebody picks up a foolish penalty, buddy, you are in trouble. Because not only are you turning the ball over, but you're giving your opponent great field position if you don't convert the first down on 4th and 19, and the odds are not in your favor.
That's right.
I'll be
Another one.
watching. I'll be watching Friday night.
Yeah, I'm ready. I don't know if I'll get to actually watch Friday night. I think we're going to try to get the grandbaby, but I am going to tape it and I'm going to watch it in some point for next Sunday. Another rule difference also is the points after touchdowns. You have the option to kick your normal, and it's a 33-yarder, right? For your extra point after you've scored a touchdown, and that's a 1-point kick. Or you can go for a 2-point conversion, and that has to go into the end zone, the ball spotted at the 2. But you have a 3-point conversion, ball spotted at the 10. It has to go in the end zone. So you got some options if you're down by 1. I mean, if you're down by 3 with 30 seconds left in the game and you scored a touchdown, you got a chance to tie it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or if you're down by 2, you got a chance to win it if you want to go for that 3-point. But, I mean, I felt like they wouldn't do that. I thought they'd go for the 2. They're tied to go for overtime. But I think you'd see people using those options more to tie than to take a win, you know, unless you're Tommy Tuberville. You know,
right.
Riverboat gambler types mentality. But while we're still on the Stallions, I guess we owe our little brother institution a little recognition here, I guess. There's 2 mutts on the team as well. Really probably wouldn't even bring this up, but if it wasn't for this kid, he's a Summerall native, Jordan Thomas. You know, kind of local for our area here. He plays tight end for us, and Kobe Jones, linebacker. He's on there, too.
Well, good for Jordan.
Now, on the...
Kobe Jones, I believe, is a kid from Starkville.
Yeah, he is from Starkville.
Yeah.
And then on the Kings roster, Mac Brown and Deontay Prince.
Okay.
Of course, Mac Brown's a punter, and you know Deontay Prince is a cornerback.
Yeah.
But again, we just don't know enough about either team to even give a scouting report right now. We just got to tune in and watch and see.
And I don't think anybody does.
No,
Not really.
like you said, listening to Siskey, they got a good team. But I mean, what do you think he's going to say?
Right, right.
And he's only got now. They do have kind of like in the NFL where they have actual scrimmages against other teams, but when you do those type of scrimmages, you're giving them the most basic plays.
Yeah.
You're not out there running your plays that you're really wanting to try to script your first drive, your second drive with, or whatever. You're not, you're just running basic offensive scheme and making sure everybody's picking their assignments up or whatever.
Do you know how many people are on a roster, the active roster?
Well, there's 50 on the active roster, but I think only 45 travel or something like that.
Yeah.
Or 44 travel. Actually dress for the games, but you got to have a certain amount, that are in reserve if someone gets injured. But
that don't sound like very many.
No, it don't really. But it's a pro game, And, I know that the other day when I was listening to that McCready and Siskey deal, it was the day after when they made their final cuts. Like I say, Ryder Anderson, former Rebel, was one of them that got cut. He played quite a few years at Ole Miss, but I think he finished at Indiana or Illinois. It was one of them high schools. I remember he started in high. Maybe it was Illinois. He went up there maybe with the kids we got back. What's it? Walker Howard? No, we didn't get Walker Howard, but yeah, I can't remember yet. But he was in a pretty bad mood,
Yeah, we did get Walker Howard back, but that's not who went up to Indiana.
He went to Illinois, right?
No, you're thinking about Jake.
Nah, think about Walker Howard.
No, it's not Walker
Howard. Been up there and been starting for a while. That's not the point. I'm just saying Ryder Anderson was on the team and had to be cut. Siskey was, in one of them not so good of moods about it. I mean, I'm not saying he was ugly or mad or whatever, but he was, you get used to these guys. You've coached them. You've gotten to know them. And then
that's who you're talking about. Right? Yeah.
And he's not, he wasn't, the kid didn't do anything wrong. He done everything they asked of him, in camp. They had to make some decisions there coming down the stretch. You had to be at 50. And, certain positions you have to have 3 of. And then, at quarterback, you're probably carrying 3 quarterbacks. At center, you got to have 2 centers. So they cut a cornerback or whatever.
Yeah, I read this morning, I think the final cut was 14 players, and I read this morning that AJ said it was a very difficult decision.
I'd imagine that'd be one of the hardest things to do as a coach.
Yeah.
And again, it's not like in college, Dude,
you have to completely just turn your humanity off for a minute.
It's the old Godfather thing, It's not personal; it's business, and
just business. Yeah.
The kid, they're not really kids no more when they're up there. They're grown adults, man, and they've, they've done everything you've asked of them, and you have to cut them. I imagine that's gut wrenching. Because you're not gut wrenching them for anything they didn't do. They just. You think about it. Get cut in college. You've probably broken some team rules, or you just don't want to be basically the player ends up quitting the team. You don't have to cut them; they'll quit the team.
Yeah.
But in pros, man, this is their only chance. This is probably their last opportunity. Hey, that's one thing I did notice too. A lot of these games are going to be televised by the NFL channel. Which so that kind of tells you right there. I think the league will make it. I think they'll make it a lot because remember when the USFL back when we were kids in the '80s when it came out, it was in direct uh, competition for
Opposition.
players. Remember
Yeah.
they got Herschel Walker. He went
Yeah.
he left as a junior and went to the New Jersey Generals. That's why him and Trump
Yeah.
are so close now. Because he Trump owned the Generals.
Yeah.
And you know good and well, Walker was destined for the NFL, and they lost a player. So, but this now is more of a minor league for them, even though they don't. Each team is not owned like in the minor league baseball system, where they're part of the actual big league club, so they can send players down there for rehab or something like that. They can't do that in this. It's a total different league, but it's still a training ground for for the league. So I feel like they're working together on it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to it. That's next Friday. Start of the UFL season. Giddy up and go to hell, Kings. No men's basketball to talk about this week, obviously. So let's move on to the ladies. The Lady Rebels won game 1 in the Minneapolis region against Gonzaga by a score of 81-66. Quite frankly, that score looked way closer than the game ever was. Yeah. I watched every bit of it, and at one point the Rebels were up by 32 in that game. It may have even been more at some point, and I just missed that. But I do know of a 32.
They wiped them out.
So Rebels pulled in their reserves, and Gonzaga pulled it back to win the 15 points. But actually, I think they got it collected by 8 at one point. But then we scored a few going down the stretch to take it out there at 81-66. That was the type of game. Did you see that where the Gonzaga coach said that her players were getting bear mauled?
I did not see that. Yeah, bear mauled.
Bear mauled. Yeah, just they were basically saying that they did not. I saved the picture this morning in a screenshot, but I ain't got time to put it up. But I will read what she says. So there was a couple plays where Lauren is literally being bear mauled, and I think that's common in the SEC, and that's not what she's had to face in our conference. No, there were certainly some things that's challenging when you get here after being officiated a certain way for the entirety of the year, and our team plays like that. I'm not knocking the officiating, it's just different.
Well, she's saying a lot with those statements, and like every other sport in the world, women's basketball in the SEC is a different brand too. It's rough, it's physical, and let me tell you what, the refs made sure there wasn't going to be no bear mauling in the second round, because boy, did they have a quick whistle. Lady Rebs fall today. We're taping this on Sunday afternoon, but they fall today to Minnesota 65-63 in round 2. They called that game so close to where our best player, Cody McMahon, fouled out in spite of playing a total of 21 minutes.
And
they
fouled
this girl out in half the game. She only took 6 shots, man. 5 of 6 from the field, 1 for 1 from 3-point range, 4 of 4 from the free throw line. 15 points, but you only let her play 21 minutes. And the call, the 5th foul that fouled her out was just a joke. It was an offensive foul, and the girl was not set that they called the foul against. It was just that was terrible, man. You just take your best player out of the game. We had 2 other starters that finished the game with 4 fouls. Now listen, I ain't gonna sit here and pretend like our girls ain't rough.
Yeah, they play physical. They do.
They play physical, they play hard, and they hustle. But I think sometimes that reputation kind of goes before you, and you can't tell me them comments that Gonzaga coach had didn't have some effect on the way this game was handled today. I just believe it is. That's the way sports work. They were watching and they were ready. And so as soon as it got rough, man, if they even thought it was a foul, they called it today.
Yep, I agree.
We still should have won the game up 8 points with 4 minutes left and couldn't hold it. I was at my dad's house and I told him, I said, we're not winning this game. I've seen, I don't know how many times this year, that group could not hold a lead for nothing. What a shame, man. That was probably the most talented women's team we've ever had at Ole Miss. Cody was special.
Yep, she was special.
She'll be in the WNBA next year.
And then had a good supporting cast around her with Lattimore and Chinu.
Yeah, she had a good game today. Junior had 18.
So, but anyway, basketball season's over at Ole Miss for this year.
That's right. It's over.
We'll see how it plays out portal wise here and recruiting and regroup and have us a deal next year. But, well, that pretty much does it for episode 28. If you like what we're putting out there, folks, please subscribe, like, and share. As always, comment. Let us know what you think we can do better. Stay tuned here for episode 29. It's going to be coming out at noon today, which noon Monday. For the Metal Rebel myself, until next time, howdy toddy, Rebel fans.
Go to hell, LSU. If they're the worst place, please go there.